to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
All righty, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approve the minutes from 10:23 and 10:24.
I'll make the motion to approve minutes from both meetings, 10:23 and 10:24.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, general public concerns. No, do you have something, Gary?
Yep.
Okay.
The ditch clean out.
All righty.
Here's bottom end of it. Here's an application for cleaning out 165 feet of county right of way, restricting water from entering the intake. Areas right between the weight limit sign, south of the intake. I had intended to send this letter by certified mail, just to establish a date, but then I decided I'd come over in person. I don't know if this is the proper form. Since the county engineer has stated on tape that he will not clean out road ditches unless he needs the dirt, I'm gonna ask for a variance to clean out the ditch myself, or have you, as a board of supervisors, order the county engineer to get the work done, one or the other. This has been going on for too long, and we need to take action on it. I feel you need to take action on it. Eric, you got left out.
No, actually, I've seen this before. I read your email.
This is the condition of the standing water after the last 1 inch of rain we had. Only gotta go 165 feet to get to an outlet. It'll all be taken care of. I have Paul Jacobs' letter here. I've had the same thing to go to Paul, but I haven't sent it to him.
All righty, well, thanks.
So this
Gary.
is, Gary, this is, you've given this to him, or you haven't, this just to us?
Here's a letter to go to him,
I see.
which is the same thing.
Same
that
stuff
I've
that we
given
have
him.
here?
Same
Yeah.
application.
So it's, from here on, you just tell me how you want to proceed.
Okay.
The question I have is that to help your field or to help the road? Or both?
Look at the picture.
I saw the
To help
picture.
the road,
But how often is that pond there? Every rain or just?
every rain.
Okay, I've not been out there, so I'm just asking. Would it help your field more than help the road though? Does it hurt the road any?
It'll help the road more than it will the field.
Okay. Why do you want it done then? Help the road or help your field? Or both?
Well, part of it is if the water's sitting in the field, or in the ditch, it's not gonna drain anything.
No.
Yeah, I haven't been out there, I'm just asking.
And here's the philosophy is, we don't clean the ditch out. If we have water sitting in the road ditch, haul more rock in the spring when you get frost boils, spend more money and not correct the problem.
I was gonna say, I haven't been out there, so I'm just asking.
Basically just go and clean on down here another 100 or some, what is there,
We
100
have a
and
lot
some
of
feet to
ditches
that
with
intake?
water.
165 feet, Dave.
So basically, Gary, in the real common sense idea, if it got cleaned to the balance of this, got to the intake,
Yep.
the water would run into the
This
intake.
is a dredge ditch here, right?
Dredge ditch will be down here by the bridge.
This one down here coming across, and is this the other one that meets up over here? The bridge here, is that the dredge ditch
This
down
is,
here?
the bridge is a dredge ditch.
This is the one we cleaned.
And and this is what you're cleaning right now, going
Yeah,
south.
and this is the other part of it
And
over
this
here.
is-
This is one's gonna get cleaned.
Eventually, I guess Brandon won't do it till next year now, he tells us, so.
So you're wanting to come on down here to this intake down
Yep.
here?
Yep.
Okay.
And the other thing, when you was out there, Dave,
Mhm.
if that ditch would've been cleaned out to begin with, I wouldn't have had to be in the road ditch to begin with.
From what you done when I was out there a couple weeks ago, it looks nice. That ditch is clean,
And
smooth.
it's been reseeded with ryegrass.
Yeah.
Down the road at Opines, he dug the ditch out, now it's all full of weeds, didn't even take time to put ryegrass in it. So all you got, more erosion, fill the ditch back in again. Then you got more dirt for his dirt pile.
I think either Paul ought to do it or sign the application and let Gary do it going down to the end. Because what I looked at in that ditch, all the way down that property that he bought here, a year ago?
Yeah.
That nice clean ditch, smooth, looks nice, looks like the ditch will drain good, protect the road.
What section is that in?
Section 10.
10?
Section 10.
Washington Street, south of
That's what I thought.
230th.
Another thing that I've done, since you've been out there maybe, 120, in the area that I was digging last spring, 120 feet in, I've installed a 8-inch Hickenbottom tile
Mhm.
to take any surface water before it can get to the road.
Let's hit that back page papers.
Then, on the driveway that goes into the field, I had Castler Tyler come in, he was doing other tiling for me. We went within 20 feet of the road ditch here to help drain the road ditch out, so you don't get frost boils in there in the spring.
That's back out into the field then,
That's running north and south, right alongside the road.
okay?
That will help
Yep, that'll help
take
that
frost
ditch too.
boils out of the ditch.
Yeah, and like I said, what you've done out there so far, it looks nice. It's clean, smooth,
Well, that's my
everything looks
intention.
good.
Look, I understand when you, I haven't been out there, I understand what you're after now.
All right, well, we'll take this under consideration and visit with Paul about it.
Thanks for the good information, Gary.
Get an application in the fall to do that.
Well, I got an application, but is that the right form? Do you know, Rick?
I don't know, we'll have to run that by him, make sure we got the right one. If we don't, we'll...
If it isn't, we'll call you.
Him, so.
Mhm.
The other thing I wanna bring up is, David and Eric, you were elected new board members, and one of the things that you mentioned in the beginning was to try and cut costs, and operating costs in Humboldt County, okay? Would you take into consideration sharing a county engineer with another county? This has been done in Wright County. When Randy Will was there, he shared with Hamilton County. Then Adam Clemson, Wright County engineer, shared with Webster. I get Webster and Hamilton mixed up. Shared with Hamilton County. Randy Will went to Webster County. The last I read was that Adam is sharing engineering job with Hancock County now. Out of the state of Iowa, there are 10 counties that share engineers right now. So, in order to cut costs and maybe get, I can't think of the right word, better repose from the public out here, if we had a different leadership, maybe things would go a lot smoother for everybody all the way around, and all the employees would be a lot happier, so. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Dave.
Gary. Anyone else from the public? All righty, Dean, you wanna come up?
Morning, Dean. Your time seems to click by faster, I don't know, you show up only on every quarter, don't you?
Recorder. You're just having a good time. make this once a year.
Well, we like to see you.
Yeah, this way we know what's going on before it's over.
Well, you can see from the budget, for the first quarter, we're right on budget for the most part. That's the good part of it. The concerning part of it is the parts that Humboldt County, with the services they give to the veterans, the Mid-America is way over budget. Quarter budget, we had budgeted $1,050 for Mid-America. Our expenditures in the first quarter was $4,000. So we've had some very high Mid-America bills with some of these veterans. That's something we're gonna have to...
First quarter, got it back during
July,
Well, that's mainly just electricity then.
that's mainly electricity, right?
not
Not heat.
No heat.
Now, the good part with the heat, working with Upper Des Moines, a lot of these veterans that have been using Mid-America have filed for the heat assistance through the winter. So the Mid-America bills for the second quarter will be considerably less because Upper Des Moines will basically cover those expenses. And utilities, it's up a little too. We budgeted $900 for the quarter, and we're at $1,332. Rental assistance and food vouchers are pretty much right on budget. Last time I said that the state of Iowa they allocated $9,500 for every county, and that $9,500 goes into our budget, but I have to report back to them every year where I spent that money, and they pretty much dictate where we should spend that money. For example, part of that $9,500 goes for general office supplies, phone, internet, educational training, office equipment, dues and membership and advertisement, postage, and transportation to take veterans to the health care clinics, Des Moines or Fort Dodge, but specifically those. So I pretty much have a budget for that $9,500 too, that I have to report to the state every year on. Pending claims that I have currently are 23, still waiting on the VA to make a recommendation or where, if they approve or disapprove those claims. Most of those claims are hearing loss, tinnitus again. I've had more than usual for the Agent Orange related, from Vietnam, era vets, ischemic heart disease, diabetes, prostate, and Parkinson's are those are all part of Agent Orange. And I've had 2 or 3 this past few months that have applied for that. Other claims that are waiting on are a PTSD one, back issues, and a couple of pensions. So, anyway, that averages anywhere between 23 to 27, 28 claims that we're normally always waiting on the VA to give us some type of a idea of what they're gonna do there. There's another, the Veterans Iowa Trust Fund is another department or a different fund that is available to the veterans. The Veterans Iowa Trust Fund is pretty much, the proceeds come from the Iowa lottery, and there's usually between $2.5 and $3 million in that fund. And, the past 2 months I've helped a couple of veterans. We applied for some money. There's a limit, they can only get $2,500 to $3,000 a year using that fund, so the past 3 months, we've had a couple of veterans that have used that, and it's been positive for them, so that's another source available out of the state of Iowa to the veterans if they meet the requirements. And, that's kind of it.
Dean, how many veterans would you have in your file you work with in your time or a quarter? How many different individuals are we talking about here that you have contact with in a quarter?
In a quarter?
Yeah.
Oh, it can range, well, first of all, the files are full. There's probably 700 or 800, 900 veterans in those files. And how many in a quarter? Maybe 50, and maybe 75 that you talk to back and forth, or you talk to the widows.
We're averaging, what, 12 a month with assistance?
Yeah.
10 to 12,
10 or
14?
12. Yeah. I thought I did have one off Friday, and before he left, I had a phone call from another veteran who needs assistance, so. So you would think with the economy as strong as it is, there'd be more or less assistance
Yeah.
required, but it doesn't seem to be that way.
Well, thank you, Dean.
I make a motion to accept and place on file Veterans Quarterly Report.
I second that motion.
You have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Keep up the good work.
You want these back?
Want these back?
Yeah.
Bunch of ground.
Do what you want to do.
That's all right. It can be approved up to now.
Now I gotta turn it around.
There you go, turn it around.
Okay. next.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Dean. Mary Hanson's next, Animal Control. And she is here today for possibility of an animal confinement facility.
Yes, the USDA inspector, I've been doing this since April, I think, and the USDA inspector showed up recently and said, basically, we have to have a facility. When I was contracted for this, I was contracted to pick the animals up, either take them to the vet or take them to the shelter if needed. We have no shelter. Almost Home and Fort Dodge will not take them. The veterinarians, the licensing we have a licensed pound, the city of Humboldt does, we just have no facility. We have a humane society, so to speak, but that's just their name. They're actually a dog rescue. They can't take our dogs. The dogs that come in usually do not have tags of any kind. They have no proof of rabies. In order to go into like Michelle Erickson's boarding facility or Kim Caldwell's rescue, they have to have proof of rabies. They don't. They never do. They're at night I pick them up. They're on weekends I pick them up. There's no way, even if they have tags, to track down proof of rabies. So I was taking them home with me. Dean provided me with some kennels and an outside run, and she said I can't do that. So basically it boils down to we have to have a facility to put the animals in and pick them up.
What asked them, why won't Humboldt Home take them? We used to pay money to those people. Is that just for their county or their city or what?
Every time I've called them with something, and that's during the day, but most of the calls I get are at night or weekends. They have no emergency
Okay.
number, and they say they're full. They absolutely won't take cats. Charnel Job, my friend here, she's from Pocahontas. She is currently holding 10 cats from the city for us because I have nowhere to take them. Humboldt Home is full. I mean, they're only allowed 50 cats. They have 70. Dallas Huddleston, he is from the Elanco Corporation in Fort Dodge. He lives here in Humboldt. He's on the board for the Humane Society, and I've talked to him numerous times about this, and his corporation has offered to a donation to me to help out with something to, you know, he was going to buy us a chip reader. Dean bought me that so I can try to get these animals home quickly so I don't have to take them anywhere. But I'm kind of sitting with my hands tied. This month I am not supposed to pick anything up. I get calls on coons and possums and fox. I helped the county conservation officer with a deer that was in somebody's house that they picked up. So I go beyond what I'm supposed to do, and I'm willing to do that. Charnel has put out her own money for cages and food and litter for our city, county animals, the cats, which, you know, we transport them. I had a dog come in that I had to hold for the city. I have certifications with FEMA, I have certifications with the American Kennel Club. If I get fined for something, I lose my certifications, and I've worked hard for them to get them. I've had a dog transported to Illinois. I work with rescues and shelters and stuff like that. I've had 2 kittens transported to Patriots for Pets over in Mason City. So I do what I can to get them. When they don't, we have a dog currently that we picked up right now that is in very poor health, that I'm kind of transporting between the veterinarians. And I pick it up today, I take it to the other vet who will only hold it for a couple days for me. And then there again, I have to figure it out. So.
If we had a shelter here, how do you get rid of those dogs? Are you adopting
That was
them?
my question, yeah. Once our shelter gets full, then what do we do?
I guess they don't, I work with enough people. I have a Facebook page for animal control. I get them adopted out, and she said legally I can't do that. This is ours. Nobody is licensed. Name is on our pound. I was asking her if I could have my name be put on the pound, and then legally I can adopt the animals out.
Excuse me, where is the pound?
We don't have one.
We don't have one, that's the problem.
We have a license.
You have a license?
The city has a license.
A license, but really don't have a facility.
We have no facility. So that's where we got caught. She showed up to inspect the pound that we don't have.
Yeah.
So then I got called.
We used to have that little spot down
We
there.
do have,
A holding facility.
A holding
Kennel, outside runs.
I'd stop short of calling it a facility, because it's not a very good.
No, I've seen it.
Is that something to do with these pictures that were provided us? Can somebody explain what they're doing for Barry?
No, that's a facility we
No.
looked at.
Oh.
This is what we have. This was, let me pass it around. That's our pound.
disposal plant out here
That's it.
Which one is Dean?
on Guys Park Road, that's
This?
the wastewater plant, yeah.
Where do most of the dogs originate from? The small towns, the Humboldt, Dakota City, or the rural area?
All of the above.
All the above. How about numbers wise?
I have picked up over 100 cats. For, 4 years, we have not had an animal control, and all these stray cats have multiplied. And so I picked up,
Trying to amuse me here.
I have picked up over 100 cats.
Try to not go the route of the stray cat.
Right.
Who's picking you up?
I'm probably close to 75 dogs that I've picked up. A couple of them, I found homes. Most of them, I have found their owners. One of her things, even picking up dogs that I know have a home, she said the city would have to adopt the dog to me. I have 30 days to get that dog fixed. Then if I find the owner, I have to adopt the dog back to the city. It's a mess right now. So
So this is sort of I mean, obviously this didn't just fall out of the sky.
That's been an ongoing problem since I've been on the board anyway.
But Mary has done such a stellar job of animal control that she was hired to do, then it's come to a head and you run into the technicalities of
She's
having...
doing the job of picking them up, but doesn't have any place to put them.
Well, understandable, but before they kinda ran amok and Dean ended up with, and obviously we know the backstory, but yeah, so it's a good thing, but it creates an issue for us to deal with. I'm curious what the pictures, I'm very sad to see any kind of an animal in this condition, everybody is.
Yeah,
But
that's a dog Mary just picked up.
I don't, and I actually, because of the magic of Facebook, which I'm not on, but privy to, saw this and saw some of the backstory. But I'm curious as to this, photos on the back and, facilities, if anybody can explain that.
Okay, that would be Denise Johnson's. She has that kennel sitting out at her place right now, and it's empty.
Okay?
And Dave and I went out there Friday and took a look at it, and we snapped some pictures of it and stuff, and talked to Denise and asked her, you know, there'd be possible that she might wanna sell that, you know. I think she's, I don't know, I guess I'll let you talk. What she say.
My biggest interest is to sell my whole acreage. My acreage is set up to where it would benefit, like when you pick the horses that year, I have facilities for all that, plus this dog kennel. Right now, it's kinda, I haven't had a dog in years, but I used to raise, breed, show dogs, but I do not do that anymore, and I'm trying to move. But my acreage is just perfect for you guys, it really is.
And where's your acreage located? Corner?
Highway 3 in Rutland.
Highway 3 on
I mean, it's perfect. I've got horse, you know, I had horses. I had over 26 horses. I sold them all. You got one on
We took pictures of the inside, there's like to say that the acreage is for sale, so could be a temporary till it's sold, it could be, I don't think you want to sell the building itself.
That's a good possibility. I'm just saying, there is room there on my acreage to build another facility like this. You know, something to house just cats in there. Because by the time we move that cube truck, get that out of there, there's a nice spot right there to tie in with the electricity and sewer and everything. Yeah, there is a lot of land, a lot of possibilities,
How big
you know.
Travis, you got any suggestions?
Actually, Dave called left me a voicemail to make sure I came from him. And I can't remember, Dave, if you left on the voicemail or talking to Dean about it. The city owns the house at 901 Taft Street North, which has a large 4-car garage. It's 2 wide, 2 deep. And so, what some of the, I don't know, did you talk to me? Anyway, the possibility of actually moving that building out on the concrete, you know, pour a concrete pad big enough, but replace that building there with that 4-car garage, put it out there, and then insulate the inside and make it into a better facility than what we have out there.
Well, Dean and I was looking at that, we looked at the garage, I think it's a good idea on the garage, but it'd have to be sitting on county or city property, so we looked it up, a secondary road building out here, and it could fit up in the corner up there pretty easy. Put kennels in behind it, there's nobody around, KHBT's and across the bushes and over from it, but have dogs barking on the background of their music.
Nathan could be helping caretaker.
Yeah.
In between radio calls.
Get walk dogs.
Right.
Put it
I
out
mean,
there.
honestly, as far as the dogs, the most dogs I've had at one time is 2, and...
So it really isn't the dogs
It
aren't the
isn't the
problem.
dogs, it's the cats that I have. The dogs, I've had to hold some overnight, but I usually find homes for them fast enough that they're not a long-term thing. The dogs, the owners, I've had to hold overnight maybe, but, I mean, they wouldn't be in an outside run, obviously, they'd be inside.
Mhm.
I have volunteers from my page online that are willing to the Kirkhoff and, Sergeant Bout, that said they would be willing to help insulate a building and, you know, do the work. They would volunteer to clean, and, Charnel here would come in from Pocahontas. She's kind of a cat expert that would be able to take care of these animals. So that would not be a city expense, other than I would need food and litter and, so, and and JRG in Fort Dodge has been decent. They donate their food, dog food. So.
Once you get these cats collected, dogs maybe not a problem. How you get 50 cats out here, how do you get rid of them? Just keep getting more?
The cats, a lot of them I trapped out of the trailer court that they have bred and, you know, and just strays. I work full-time at Faith United Methodist Church. I have had people bringing cats to my work, dogs to my work. They're all animal lovers there, thank God, that I have kept them in my office until I can leave, or, you know, I call the vets. They've been really good to work with me. Can you hold them till I get off work? It's just, I need help.
But once you get those in a kennel, what happens to them then? Nobody's gonna adopt them.
I get them, you'd be
You really?
surprised, I'm very convincing.
Okay.
I've already readopted. The first round I had 16 cats.
And we've
Great.
adopted them
And I
out.
rehomed all those.
That's great.
I'm working on the rest of the second round.
The city has paid for, you know, we've paid for them to get flea medication and the basics. And the contract that we have, that the state gave us, just states that the new owner will have to, you have a spay and neuter contract. So, you know, I mean, it's just basically a rabies shot and maybe some flea medication.
What if we, for all the drainage deals that we have, the farmers have to take 2 cats? Gary, you need a cat or 2.
That's expensive, speaking for the
Both Gary.
I don't want to extra cats.
Well, being out in the country, it's amazing how many, you drive down a gravel road and how many cats you see jumping out of the ditch or into the cornfield or...
The feral cats that I tracked out of it, actually, well, I don't have no farmer friends anymore, but I did. And I have given farmer friends of mine cats. They've taken the mamas and the kittens, and then I got to where I had no more friends, so.
Well, we go.
But the cats, I mean, people literally, whether you know it or not, they'll move away, and they're house cat, and sometimes they're fixed and declawed, they just turn them outside.
Yeah.
And the neighbors are feeding them, and then as soon as they knew there was animal control, they're getting a hold of me, and now I have, or Charnel and her husband now have 10 cats they're holding for us, so.
Travis, what would it take to get her name on there so she could adopt them on the city's permit?
I'm not sure what it would take. If this is good enough, I'm good with that. Whatever the state's gonna require.
We'd probably get a pet inspector and just...
Then she could adopt them out legally and then
Yeah,
get her legal, and then we can get a building
because right
moved or
now,
built or rented or
nobody's
something.
name's on it.
Nobody's name's on it.
That's definitely the first step for the legality part of it. We don't want Mary to get in trouble with her other licensing.
Well, and that's one thing that I had when I did this for like 2.5, 3 years before Mary came aboard. I mean, you really have no choice but to take them out to the vet to get the parvo and the rabies shot before like,
Michelle would take them,
right?
Yeah.
Or Kim over there at Style and Boots could take them. You know, what do you do? I got 5 dogs in my house,
No, you can't anymore, no.
And they're all rescued as well.
I don't, yeah. We need to have figure out the licensing part of it, and then I think past that, the quickest solution to, the pound, the illegal part of it. And it sounds like there's some good options. Possibility of the garage that you looked at and moving that, and appreciate the offer of the acreage. I mean, that would be wonderful, but probably fairly spendy.
And I'm the one that contacted Denise, because I knew she had this facility out there, and I thought, well, and I knew, and I knew that,
Facility.
you know, that she wasn't using it, you know.
I think that's great.
I'm talking to Denise on a regular basis,
She keep getting in trouble, I don't know.
How much are you trying to sell your acreage for?
How much?
Yeah.
The price is negotiable. I have started out with about $450,000. But the money that I put into this acreage is enormous. We built that dog kennel. We put the main run around it, which is expensive because that was professionally done. My barn has been redone. We put the fencing in automatic water, and it's heated. The automatic water is heated so it won't freeze. All that, just for the fencing for the horses and the poles, was way over 10 grand. So, I mean, we put a lot of money into it, and then we've got that extra shed. Yeah.
Has the USDA given you any kind of specs, what type of building you would need to house?
Yes, she did,
Yeah.
and I did
Okay.
not bring that.
Yeah, she's.
Well, I think we gotta start out with.
That's something we need to look at,
Yeah.
because I know there's, square footage for each pet, and
Mhm.
type of floors, and type of walls,
And you have to
and
be able to
ceilings,
get-
and there's all kinds of regulations.
You can have a concrete slab, it has to be sealed, because you have to be able to sterilize
Mhm.
after each animal, and you have to have a separate area, for quarantine, if you get, which with us, I mean, you have to legally, but if they're sick, I take them to the vet. But you still have to have a room, quarantine room,
Mhm.
so, and then for the cats and,
You said facility and pound as two different, so are they licensed different?
yes,
or-
and I brought that
So
also.
our facility is licensed as pound,
We are
right?
licensed as a pound. Harmony runs, they're licensed as a dealer,
Yep.
which is basically a rescue. And they're operating out of they're a nonprofit operating out of their place. And they're such a small facility that when I have called them to take animals, they can't because,
Yeah, they're small.
and they're running a business.
Yeah, they
You
got
know,
their customers,
but-
I know.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's different licensing, and I brought everybody's licensing, but we are licensed as a pound. We can adopt animals out, take in strays.
Do we have any models in other counties that they handle this problem? We're not inventing a new wheel, are we? Is there something we can pattern ourselves after?
Almost Home, actually, the inspector said that Almost Home is one of the better facilities designed around. And that's just one she would recommend to be designed like that. Of course, we wouldn't need it that big.
That scale, yeah.
But just how you can sterilize it, and I think that's the biggest thing for disease control, is so that you can sterilize it, and they're like plastic, not
I've been up
plastic.
to that facility there, it's almost like a hot lunchroom. The hospital is so clean and nice, stainless steel.
Right, and that's what they want.
Yeah.
And, you know, I even brought the inspector because I had some out at my daughter's barn, and I brought her out there. I mean, your outside runs have to have P-rock under them or concrete so that you can hose them down, and, yeah, the barn wasn't a good go-over with her.
No, I'm sure not.
So I think the barn would've been a lot better than
Our facility.
what they have here.
It's enclosed, I mean, and
Yes.
she actually was decent enough to approve us, even though we don't have a facility, because she knew that I was trying to do the right thing.
Mhm.
So, she passed us and said she'll be back.
Yeah.
So,
So what licensing did she approve that she would be back for?
our city pounds that we
City
don't
pound.
have. I
So
took
we-
her out to my barn where I've been holding her, and it's clean, I have all the kennels clean. It's just not an enclosed, it's not enclosed. I have it, basically I have 4 kennels shoved into a horse stall
Mhm.
on a concrete slab. So she said, you know, that would be fine if you enclose it and insulate it and heat it, and she was decent. So,
So she did want to approve our pound out there, is that what you're saying?
we have no pounds. We have no pounds. We have 4 outside kennel runs. We have no building. She has to approve a building. So I took her out to where I was keeping the animals. And basically, she just approved us. Or, you know, she could have fined
So you kind of have a temporary approval to continue on with the animal
As
control?
long as I can get my name on that, because like I said, now we're holding 10 cats.
It's always been.
And I suppose this is on record, but I still have been picking up animals.
Mhm.
I just have been taking them to the vet, so that they're not with me. I cannot do that.
Well, the first thing is to get whoever you have to figure this out with, your name on the licensing part of it. And then I think this is something that, obviously, good information, some options that we have to discuss in the very near future.
But I can see what we've been doing isn't working.
No, it needs, we kind of see what we need to get put into place
Just to
somewhere.
say we got by.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, that's real good information.
Work with Travis, see if he can get her name on there and make it a little legaler.
Yes.
And then we can, we'll work with Dean and see if we can't come up with some kind of a building or solution or
Yeah,
something.
Something, we've got some options.
Yeah.
You've looked at some stuff already.
That picture of our facility out south of town, where'd that go? Is that around here somewhere?
She's got it.
What do you got?
Did you get it back, didn't you?
Yeah.
And really, that's kind of a temporary holding.
Yeah.
You got nothing to do with your farm, Rick.
No, I don't.
Well, like when
I don't have a cat on the farm.
When I was picking up cats.
I don't have any
dogs,
cats, and
dogs,
there's a reason I
things
don't
like-
have any cats.
I mean, we would take them out there first until I was ready to go home, and then I would either
Get
take
rid of
them
the
to Michelle's or. or-
Gas and water.
And
Yeah.
she stopped down to Michelle's also and said she cannot hold our animals. Michelle's running a boarding, grooming,
Yeah,
she can't do that.
Yeah.
right.
And Kimmy, we did have styling pooch, we did have some of the animals fixed, so she could take them in. So.
But
And
for the
if
most
we-
part, Mary does a great job, you know, because I bought her one of those scanners, you know, to see. if
Yeah,
it's
chip reader.
Chip reader and whatever, and
And I instantly post them online, which social media can be bad, but it also has found them homes and found their owners right away.
Yeah.
So,
We even got a rabbit.
yeah, we have got a rabbit. I traveled 42 miles round trip for a pigeon, so
A pigeon,
it was banded. So dispatch calls me, I go.
And the pigeon, you gotta pick them up.
I gotta pick them up.
Really?
It was from
It was found in the
Wisconsin.
county, right?
It was in Gilmore City. Yep, that was county, so.
Lord.
so did the people come and get it?
No, but I know a lot of animal people, and I know people that raise pigeons, so I transported it from Gilmore City to Hardy, and then it went to Renwick to some people that raise pigeons. I
Wow.
posted it online, 'cause, you know, you have to hold them for what, 6 days, 7 days? And then the people that took it kept it.
Great traveling pigeon of Humboldt County.
Yeah.
Yep, some of them pigeons cost more than a dog does.
Yeah, so.
Okay, thank you.
You
Thank you very
bet.
much,
You bet.
Mary.
You
Thanks
bet.
for doing
We'll
so.
take care of.
We'll work with Dean and try to get some kind of facility.
and Mary.
And there,
Yes, absolutely.
All righty, moving on to the drainage.
Oh, really? Thanks, Peter.
We're right on schedule.
Well, then we go to drainage. Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to go into drainage?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, we're in drainage.
I'm still boggled why you go pick up a pigeon that's banded, that,
Throw it in the air and let it go home.
yeah, take the band off and let him have his,
You arrested her all the time, or she's
Oh, no.
just giving you...
No.
Pigeons go.
Probably no.
Homing pigeons.
Yep.
It's distant.
I'm just curious how the county do it.
Well, here, I'll ask you this directly.
Well, my concern is,
we don't
once we're
want
full,
Let me get over here.
it, we don't want it. We don't want it, move their garbage out to the sewer plant, yeah. Move it to the sewer plant. They're gonna have their name on the title, we want it on there.
Yeah,
you had P-Rock out there.
Well, we're waiting on.
okay.
Lighter?
Yeah.
Would you entertain that as we discussed it?
I mean,
Obviously, your acreage would be a wonderful animal rescue.
I've been
Be wonderful.
And the others would like to come out.
My question is just to consider this, and we probably will, maybe Dave and I, or maybe all of us, this will be the rental of needed facilities, because. Yes. Okay,
Power washers that we can get, I can get in there clean.
thank you very much.
No problem.
Where, I'm 3 and 169.
Yeah.
Three right on the corner, right on your west.
Good luck with the rest of your stuff.
The south side, it sits on the corner,
Yeah,
where you turn.
Good luck with the rest of it.
those guys are done.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Used to be some tractors down there for sale.
Was it
Dean has that.
Oh, yeah,
the...
I see you and Dean.
Second Tom Johnson?
You just keep getting after him, he needs,
Oh, you're
that's all right,
fine.
all right.
Go west.
I think you do sometimes, that's
I know,
okay.
but west on 3,
To the Rutland corner,
yeah.
there.
Oh, that, okay, yeah. Now I know where we're at.
I believe that's where.
Is that on the hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That acreage goes way in.
That, well, they had, I bet they had 100 dogs themselves.
Yeah, they did. Eric, get his coffee and started.
I'm sure the cat issues are probably more than
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
Rick?
You can't,
No, thanks.
I'm in.
You're in? Okay, I don't wanna hear about this upsetting your stomach then, so.
I made it.
Temper your coffee.
I made it, I got my banana, I'm ready.
Okay, thing about me, if I eat banana, they don't always agree with me. Straight banana, don't really always agree with
With
me.
peanut butter, with my peanut butter toast with bananas.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, what do you got for problems? You want any cats out of your...
It's kind of a big one, 'cause it's really expensive. That's really not terribly.
Mary lives right next to me.
There ought to be a fine connected to those who let them go.
Well,
Yeah, but how do you know that?
And how do you collect it?
Don't say that. Gary, maybe.
Oh, sorry. I did that one.
You what? You let them go?
I opened up the patio.
They were in big farm.
Baba, I was hoping.
I know.
yeah.
That's what I was wondering, any farmers would come and pick the whole.
It's got my correct email there.
I know.
Oh, thank you, Gary.
I think you got missed the wrong key on the last one.
It's that long, the coyote.
Not only that, but the tomcats will breed, and then they'll kill the kittens, so the cats come back in the head, it's like...
Oh,
You're not the only one.
and then they go romance around the neighborhood.
Oh, it isn't easy being a tomcat.
You got problems there.
Dave, what do you call them?
No, I'm just,
You
I
can
know
give me a
the
call, Eric.
boys
You call
now,
me.
Cadell got kittens, and every time Scott pulls in with that German Shepherd, the dog just takes off, the cat just sweats.
I can,
And then Alice gets mad, 'cause the cats
what
are,
you've done so far.
they won't come out of the barn for days.
December, head south, so it's raining.
They don't keep the mice down, we got two of them around.
You know?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
And the birds.
See what works out.
Okay, we're all back. We are in drainage.
We on?
After 9:15, are we on? Okay, I don't think we're ever off. Okay, we have McClure, would you like to come up? All right, here it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here for the subject 5.
I'll take a look at one.
We're gonna put the sign up though. Either that or have them moved to the other end of the hall.
On the
Give the sign. don't get in trouble.
I'm gonna partially close it if I can. Since we got the sign.
Oh, Kent's fault, he's just too noisy out there.
Find out.
The mystery cat.
Did you want a copy? Okay. We have McClure here with their formal engineering report that, more than just a sheet of paper they gave us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So this is our official report. There was some question last week as to whether or not I was a civil engineer, or a licensed civil engineer, which I am not, but I am the spokesperson for McClure's licensed civil engineer, who has, these are all his words in here. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. You guys are pretty familiar with the history on this project and the intent, so we'll skip over the introduction and the history, and we can go over to the existing conditions. It's been noted in previous reports that right now Subdistrict 5 is underserved in terms of tile drainage. I believe the report stated they're at a 1/8 inch drainage coefficient or less, which we concur with. So this option is looking at an alternative to replacing the tile within the district. Instead, it is tiling towards the east to Subdistrict 1 of 11, which has an open ditch that runs east and west called Lateral 1. If you move on to page 2, that kind of discusses the sizing of what such an option would look like. And just for reference, towards the back, there's a large plaque that labels what we call each tile and the sizes and things like that. So we broke this option out into a number of different laterals. It all eventually tiles into the Lateral 1 open ditch. So the tile that outlets into that we simply call Lateral 1A, and then there's two other branches that we call Lateral 1B and Lateral 1C. If you're looking at the plat, Lateral 1A is highlighted in red, 1B is blue, and 1C is yellow. So while you guys are looking at that, I'll go back and kind of talk to the design a little bit. This is designed to be a 1-inch drainage coefficient, standing on its own. Lateral 1A would consist of 48-inch tile, weighted at a 1% grade. Lateral 1B would start out as a 36-inch tile and go down to a 24. And then lateral 1C is a 30-inch tile and a 24-inch tile as well. And then lower there, we contrast that to the tile that currently serves that area. Or, excuse me, this is all tile that would serve the south end of Sub-Drainage District 5 of 11. Now, obviously, these watershed and these district lines would have to change as part of this proposal, seeing as we're draining to a different direction. So I'll simply call it the south end and the north end of Sub-District 5 for now. The north end of Sub-District 5 would continue to be served by the old tile system that's already in place, starting out as a 22-inch tile and working its way down to an 18-inch tile. Now, assuming that we severed the tie between the two ends of the district, the north and the south, then since there would be less land served, the same old tile would have a greater capacity. We calculated that out to be in the ballpark of about a half an inch. However, the middle part of that system would be a little bit underserved. The drainage coefficient would be 0.37 inches. So, to reiterate, the south end of the district would have a brand-new tile system that would provide a 1-inch drainage coefficient, and the north end would have the older system serving less land, but a greater coefficient. That would be bumped up to around a 1/2-inch coefficient.
Go from that 1/8 to 1/2.
Yep, correct. Same tile, less land, goes up. So we'll move on to page 3. We talked a little bit about wetlands. Anytime you're talking about an improvement project, you also want to look at the wetlands that might be affected by that. I'll just take a minute and read through that real quick. Drainage districts have the authority to maintain the original capacity of its existing facilities through or adjacent wetlands. The landowner is ultimately the responsible party for any mitigation requirements. Disturbance of determined wetlands located within the owned parcel is assumed by tile or ditch improvement projects. The United States Department of Agriculture Farm Program requires conservation measures administered through the National Resources Conservation Service, which include wetlands. Those same or other wetlands may fall under jurisdiction of the United States Army Corps of Engineers. USACE requires wetlands and other aquatic habitat through Section 404 of the Clean Water Act of the United States Environmental Protection Agency, regulates water quality through those jurisdictional wetlands or waters through Section 401 of the Clean Water Act. Jurisdictional determinations through NRCS are strongly recommended and may even be required in order to determine if any jurisdictional wetlands are proposed to be disturbed by proposed improvement. Only the landowner may request determination of the from the local NRCS office. The district trustees or the engineer cannot. If the landowner finds that the proposed improvement will result in disturbance of jurisdictional wetlands, the findings must be presented to the Board of Supervisors at the public hearing or prior to the approved or proposed improvement. That's a lot of words just to say, at the end of the day, if you're laying a new tile in, that's going to change. It's assumed that it'll change any wetland determinations, and that's on the landowner to deal with. But it's important to read those at the very beginning of the project, because some people will get very surprised at the end of a project for some reason.
But by the same token, you need the wetlands determination per the project to know ahead of time, or you should know ahead of time, because that does enter into, that's what you just read in that.
Yep, absolutely. And the board cannot pull those determinations, the engineer cannot. It's all up to the landowners to
But they need to
get
know.
that and provide it.
Yeah. Several weeks ago, we sent out a letter to all the property owners, and we got about half of them back so far. So
Okay.
it's a good start on those.
Okay, very good. All right. So then the next paragraph in there speaks to reclassification and annexation. And that's kind of a pivotal part of this whole project. In order to drain this land onto lateral 1 of subdistrict 1 of 11, we would have to annex those acres in. And that's annexing quite a lot of acres, so we would also suggest that lateral would be reclassified, especially seeing as the lateral 1 open ditch, I don't believe has its own classification schedule as of right now. Regardless, it would need a new one to handle this project. And seeing as so many acres are drawn in, we would also suggest that Subdistrict 111 in its entirety be reclassified. In addition to that, this would change the nature of the benefits for Subdistrict 5 of 11, both the north end and the south end, so we would suggest that all of those be reclassified as part of this as well. A big portion of that is so that the landowners that would be affected by, especially the lateral 1 open ditch, have a chance to voice their opinions on how this project will affect them. And more specifically, the ones that will actually be affected by the project. So from there, we'll jump into the estimated cost. And there's a couple different ways to look at this. so I'll kind of talk through them a little bit. We laid out, and there's a detailed cost estimate for the back of the report, if you want to look at that. The general take is, there's the cost of putting in the new tile, there's the potential cost of altering the open ditch, and then there's also the engineering and secondary roads costs. So, to replace the tile without doing any work to the ditch, including engineering, we believe to be about $1.31 million. Additional work to the ditch would be in the neighborhood of $160,000, and then the secondary roads cost would be about $55,000. So that would be boring under road crossings, under the blacktop, and then trenching across the gravel road. And then, if you guys don't mind as well, I'll go ahead and read through the recommendations. It has been noted in previous correspondence associated with this project that keeping a project within one established watershed is the preferred administrative approach unless it is shown that relief cannot be otherwise obtained or there is a substantial cost savings from diversion. In this case, directing the tile flow to a new outlet is not anticipated to provide a substantial cost savings considering that the entire subdistrict is not improved to a 1-inch drainage coefficient. Even if the lateral one open ditch is not pursued, the outlets may be adjusted to provide recommended freeboard. The established construction cost of the alternative outlet is only 6% less than the relief tile project cost estimate, while not improving the capacity of the entire subdistrict to a 1-inch drainage coefficient. Therefore, we do not recommend draining the land outside of subdistrict number 5, drainage district number 11, at this time. If the relief tile as proposed by the previous report is not pursued further due to remonstrance and is no longer a valid option to improve the drainage of the lands, this alternative improvement option may be pursued. It should be noted that the alternative improvement option is subject to remonstrance also. The pre-classification would need to be prepared to identify lands benefited by the improvements so that landowners affected will be involved with any hearings on the improvement.
Okay, that's pretty detailed.
Very good. Very good.
So, I guess just as a side note, I'll just go ahead and open it up for questions.
Well, is there any questions from the board?
Pretty thorough report.
As far as everything gets back to legality, you know, because it's drainage district law, there's rules, regulations, and downright laws that need to be followed. So in the eyes of all that, the drainage district, is this considered an official report on a petition that is signed by Justin Miller, who I know personally, he is a licensed engineer? This is considered an official report?
Correct.
We've done our due diligence, we have what we looked for? That's my question.
Anything from the public?
I've got some questions. I sent all of the commissioners an email with attachments last night. I don't know whether you've
Read
had
that.
a chance. I've got copies for those who have not. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep.
I guess, the report seems to be geared to a 1-inch coefficient. It's silent on my request for a 1/2-inch coefficient. And the petition also requested that you do an analysis of, constructed with plastic or concrete or a combination of both. And I guess I don't understand why that wasn't dealt with.
To look at plastic, you're saying? Or, well, the half inch I can address. When we spoke to McClure about doing this, at that time, we only had a 1-inch petition.
No, my petition from the beginning was, a 1/2 inch and a 1-inch coefficient that's attached to the brick.
Mr. Hopper, wasn't it just a few weeks ago that we had you you did the half inch?
I redid the half inch for what I call the west project,
For the west project.
because
Yeah.
the report is still effective because it's less than 10 years
Oh,
when they
okay.
updated the costs.
All
We
right.
have that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you specifying something different than that?
Yeah, and the petition for this, that this report is based on the petition of August 21st, was asking a drainage engineer evaluate the area for repairs or improvements, everyone to the lane of 31, Rutland 6, and Wacoosa 36, known as Drainage District 11 sub 5 and 11 sub 1. Please state your petition request consideration of a 1/2 inch drainage coefficient and 1-inch drainage coefficient constructed with plastic or concrete or combination of both, draining the lower portion of Drainage District 1 sub 5 to the northeast directly into the open ditch of Drainage District 11 sub 1. It's totally silent on the 1/2 coefficient, and it seems to be, I guess, I don't know whether there was any consideration of plastic or a combination of plastic and concrete.
Well, what we can say is, like we said in the past, we have a letter from Rick that dove into the 1/2 inch coefficient at the time. This is an older letter, it's not an official report, however, it does outline essentially what will be pursued as far as a 1/2 inch coefficient. What I can say is that we have a 1-inch coefficient report here that notes several things. One is that more tile, in terms of total length, would have to be laid than going to the west. In addition to that, it's gonna, the tile itself is going to be sized quite similarly to a 1/2 inch drainage coefficient. So we could have spent more time and put more effort into putting a 1/2 inch drainage coefficient into the report, which, the petition that I had, I don't recall that saying specifically 1/2 inch and 1 inch, but regardless, the cost is going to be the same. We have a 1 inch and a 1/2 inch for the westward option, and we know that at a minimum, a 1 inch going east is gonna cost about 6% less than going west, and it could potentially cost more. And a 1/2 inch drainage coefficient would not be any different. It's gonna be, again, similar size tile to going to the west, and it's also gonna be longer length of tile than going to the west.
Yes, could you explain item number 8 on crush and bury existing tile on site?
Yes.
For $17,600.
Yep, so, as part of putting new tile into the south, we would eliminate the old tile that's already in place there. You have a watershed that goes
Drainage
to the
district
east.
tile?
Yes. Yep, and that's typical of drainage district projects to, remove those. And, you know, I even looked into, if the old tile was left in place, would that benefit the new tile? Would it add much capacity? It really wouldn't. There would be minor changes to some of the tile sizes, but it wouldn't amount to really enough of a dollar cost to, leave it in place. You have an old tile that needs to continue to be maintained.
Okay, have you looked into the maintenance records of this tile?
The past maintenance records, I think it's been stated that there isn't a whole lot of maintenance that's been done to these things.
So why pull it up?
Okay, past maintenance records are in the past. We're looking at an old tile and into the future. You know, you can spend a lot of, money in the future digging that tile out and replacing it. But in this case, since we're digging the trench anyways, it's good practice to get rid of that.
And the lateral spur, lateral one, do you still have concerns about the flow in that and the need to expand it in the bottom of the ditch?
Yeah, and Justin speaks to that a little bit in this report here. So our concerns boil down to this. You know, it's been stated in previous letters attached in the records with this project that the total amount of water in the bottom of the ditch would be less than 3 feet, which the Iowa Drainage Guide suggests 3 feet is a maximum amount of water in a ditch, which we recognize. However, there are several surface drains and tile drains that empty into that ditch that would be emptying below that 3-foot mark, creating, inundating those and creating issues for landowners that didn't necessarily ask for that additional water to be there. So we acknowledge the Iowa Drainage Guide, and we also acknowledge that these people would be dealing with extra issues having that extra water. So that's why we broke the cost estimate out separately.
Have all those drainage tiles been properly authorized to drain into that ditch?
Have they all the surface drains certainly are properly authorized.
Have you checked the records?
We don't have to check the records. A surface drain is a few hundred feet at most. Those are all within the watershed, and those are all allowed to be in there.
Are there
Now,
any of those that are concerned about being submerged, the surface drains?
Yep, and those, and it also says in the report, it's a good question, that a lot of the surface drains have the potential to be moved and raised out of the water. The other thing that drains in are the tile drains, and those are much more difficult to raise above the flow line, above the water line of the ditch, simply because they're set in stone, they're a lot longer. In some cases, you have to dig up an entire private system to change that. Now, we have no way of verifying that without going out and physically digging them up.
I mean, for the tile drains, I guess if you determined that all of those were properly before the Drainage Commission and when they were installed and authorized.
I'm sorry, what was the question there?
Well, you're distinguishing between surface drains and tile drainage. Have all the tile drains been properly authorized by the Drainage Commission in the past?
Nope, and they aren't asked to.
They aren't?
It's not standard, for a private tile drain, as long as you're within the watershed, generally, there's no further investigation on that.
Legally, if they're not authorized, do you still have to take them into account?
Yes, they're within the watershed. They're an existing private facility, so if we are creating a negative impact on something that's there and is allowed to be there, then that's a problem.
What if it wasn't allowed to be there?
There's no reason to presume that they wouldn't be allowed there. They're all well within the watershed. Unless there's some very extensive, long, private line that goes out of the boundary, which in this case I don't perceive that happening. They should all be perfectly fine in being there.
How have the numbers changed so dramatically from your one-page document that was previously submitted?
Well, like I said, that was a draft, and this is the official engineering report. Had the engineer go over it quite extensively, and this is what we...
Okay, so there no longer any 15-inch reinforced concrete 2000D?
Yeah, okay. Now, let me step back a little bit and say that the cost estimate that is in this report, it is an estimate, and it all boils down to what final bids come in, obviously. And typically, we're very conservative on our estimates. This one, we really had to sharpen our pencil on. So the 15-inch was removed from here. Well, the reason that it was in the last one was that it went on the very tail end of the pipe, the northern end of this new tile, and essentially connected the very northern end with the boundary. We don't necessarily have to do that, assuming that there's no private tile connections that are in place there. So we went ahead and took that out of the estimate so that we got a very rock bottom estimate on numbers. As was stated before, the biggest reason to drain out outside of district lines is either if there is no other way that you can get good drainage, or if there's significant cost savings. Like I said, we tried to really sharpen our pencil and get this cost savings down as low as we could get it, and we don't see a significant cost savings. So then the only other question is there, can you get relief going the normal, through the normal course of drainage through sub-district 5? So the long and short of our recommendation is, we recommend that the other option is pursued until that's been remonstrance, and then,
Yeah, you did state in the kind of conclusion area that, yes, that's there. Does this question here, sorry, in essence, theoretically, if you would go this way, does it actually create another sub-drainage district?
that would be one way of going about it.
I mean, and we don't really want to go there because of this report and that, but I mean, I'm just asking the question that it does. Actually, you're getting into that, you know, which we're really trying to avoid at this point.
Yep.
Because it really creates almost another sub-district versus what's been there all along.
Correct. And a lot of that boils down to the petition, which generally you would petition for a sub-drainage district. And legally, you can, in fact, it states in the code that lateral tiles, having their own classification schedule, are treated the same way as sub-drainage districts. But yeah, I mean, essentially, you're looking into a whole new entity, a new watershed.
And because of that, I mean, I don't want to drag this into a half-day legal session, because it doesn't need to be at this point, but then because, you know, there's cost involved with all of this, exploratory stuff, I've mentioned that in the past, you know, it's all gonna fall back on someone, and I think there's something in the code there, again, not to speak, but, you know, it could end up that it isn't paid for by the entire district. You can't put this cost on there, because you're creating a new sub-district. Someone may, you know, personally end up having to pay for all of that exploratory stuff, because we don't have a district to work within. So that's kind of my point. This isn't, you know, an option A, B, or C within one district, one sub-district of that district. We're doing something that's out of the realm of that. You know, we did look at it. I think we have hard factual proof in front of us that it really wasn't, bottom line, it really wasn't a good idea. And then there's other things extenuating past that also probably isn't a good idea. So, I don't know, do we have to make a motion to accept this report?
Yes.
Let me, I guess, ask one more question. So your recommendation is not to put both of these out there and on the table at the same time. It's to go ahead with, I guess, what's been termed the West Project, and see what happens with that before anything further is done on this.
Correct, that is our recommendation.
In spite of the fact that you didn't do a half-an-inch coefficient, you didn't look at plastic, and you're putting in some costs that you don't even know are really going to happen, regarding the ditch and some other things. So that it could potentially be a cheaper project.
We don't see this being much cheaper. We see this potentially being, in terms of potential, okay, yep, it certainly could be cheaper, but we really don't see that. And again, we say that the costs are very similar, 1 inch to 1 inch, concrete to concrete.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
what we're
reason-
comparing apples to apples.
Yep,
Correct.
yep. There's
Well,
no...
but you now have 1/2 inch coefficient for a large project also.
But I'm sure it'd be a comparable cost, you know, whether you,
I think that's what Dan,
whether it's half
Yeah.
or one, but,
it would be, and we're really trying to avoid spending money after money for no particular, good outcome.
How did you get the average cost per acre, and that changed dramatically from your graph? And this report, it's 1,167, and the prior document that you submitted, it was over $2,609. What happened?
I'd say that's a positive increase, if you're
Well, I
really
guess I'm
wanting
just trying to
pursue this.
understand the difference between the numbers of how many acres are you saying are affected? What did you use to divide into, I assume, your $1,268,096.87? Well, that was the old report.
Well, without remembering the exact equation I typed into the cell for both spreadsheets, it's pretty apparent here that this is the total $1.2 million, one of the report is the $1.2 million contract divided by roughly 1,000 acres, which is the total acres affected by this new tile draining into that. So everything on the south end, I'll hold up this map, everything on the south end of Subdistrict 1, and also including everything new that's drained by this 48-inch tile into the ditch. So, this and this.
I showed you pictures last week,
yeah.
and I thought that it should be investigated, that maybe 11 should be double-checked a little bit for some obstructions. We do lose up to 50 acres that comes back to the surface drain tiles, and actually back up to the ditch on that mile-long run on the upper end. And I'm not saying this is gonna affect it that much, but we got a problem already now. And a couple guys told me out here after we talked about it in here a little bit, that they thought there was 1 mile that needed to be cleaned on that main 11. But I don't know that much about it. This is a farm, we've owned the farm for 5 years, but the ditch is totally the boundary on 1 mile.
Sure.
So it's pretty important, and we do lose times there because the ditch number 11 just can't handle it. It's not 5 that's the problem, it's 11. It gets so high, it actually comes back up 5.
Sure.
I heard through the grapevine that some of that is because that farm is fairly low through there.
It is.
Well,
It is.
Can
But
I,
I mean, the 11 is so full for so long, and, I do know for a fact, I drove along the road to the east, and there's 2 poles right in the middle of the ditch. Now, it must have been an old bridge across there one time, and they're not stopping the water, but they're sure not doing any good. 2 poles that are even with the top of the ditch, in the middle of the ditch. That's my 2 cents worth.
We flew that last week.
Oh, did you?
We have a video available.
can I make a comment to all this, so we don't get off track?
Yeah.
I mean, this is related, and it will be investigated per Rick's comment, and already has been, but it's not really pertinent to what's in front of us.
No.
So, it's not...
It's part of the big picture.
It's part of the big picture, but, and if you wanna look at the slightly smaller screen picture, that's not disregarding your concerns, Gary. It's just that it's not maybe the time for that discussion till we have further investigation, and Rick's already done that. Thank you, but I think we need to,
Yeah.
this is, yeah, it's not unrelated, but it's not specific to what's in front of us.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the, report from the clerk.
I'll second that motion.
A first from Dave and a second from Eric to accept the formal report from McClure Engineering. Any more discussion?
I have a question that, I'm going back to what Carmen asked. She asked, her petition clearly states for a half inch. Are we going with the recommendation or the numbers that Rick gave for his half inch? Because I'm confused as to why the half inch went...
Two different petitions, all.
Yeah. Well, what Carmen is asking is for a half inch going east. I think that's got that
So
correct.
half an inch and a 1 inch
Which-
going east.
Which is fine, which we still can do. We're gonna get a legal rendering next week from our drainage attorney, correct? Dave Johnson's gonna be here. He can point us in the right direction what we have to do legally.
If we need to do anything.
If we need to do
further.
anything, we'll go that route, because we have to follow the drainage laws.
Bingo.
Well, that's what I was
So-
curious.
Bingo.
Her petition clearly states half inch, and we went from the half inch to the inch. That's what I'm asking.
Mhm.
But Rick made him, no, apples to apples,
It doesn't make any difference, apples to apples. Her petition asked for a half inch.
So, like I say, we can accept this report,
Yep.
and then we'll just have to do another half inch report if that's what our drainage
I
attorney advises.
like the idea, the legality part of all this, and that's in place with the drainage attorney, so I think we're in a good stead, because that's next week, correct, Rick?
Yes, isn't that right, Trish? He's coming next week.
Yes.
Probably be a very lengthy meeting, so bring your lunch.
Yeah, we have it. I think we're good with that.
Okay, just as a side note, so we've got...
When aren't they long? The minute we go into drainage, we start chasing our tail. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying to bring this up. So, as I'm understanding it, there's two different petitions here for the east option. There's the one from June and the one from August. And we have been working off of the one from June, which says, explore the possibility of draining the lower portion of the
So is that
11
Peterson?
sub-5 drainage district
That was going straight
To the
east,
east,
and,
to the open ditch.
the drop didn't even allow it to go. I posted a bond, nothing happened, I got the bond refunded.
That was your first.
Yeah, that was going straight east, and just, I don't know,
Yeah, the north-south portion of ditch in sub one had so much grade on it, by the time you got to the point that petition wanted to outlet, it was too high, you couldn't do it.
No.
So that was her
yeah, so
petition was refunded and it was dropped.
the bond was refunded, the petition was dropped.
Then there was another petition, right?
And then, then basically the August, 21st
First?
petition. And then I also did a petition on the West project to get the 1/2 coefficient, current figures, because that's what was submitted, back in 2011, was a 1/2 coefficient, and
That's
Gary-
the one you said would be good for
And
10
we
years.
updated that,
Yeah.
and Gary Peterson in December did a 1-inch coefficient.
That was my only question.
Okay. Anything else? This is basically this one here. Like I say, we're gonna discuss it with our drainage attorney next week. If we have to pursue this further for legal reasons, we'll do what we have to do to be legal. All in favor of accepting the petition?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Accepting the petition,
Report.
Report.
Excuse me, I said that wrong. Accepting the,
Report.
let's state the vote over. All in favor of accepting the formal report from McClure Engineering?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Sorry for the mistake.
Excellent.
All righty. Anything else in drainage?
I want to give you an update before,
Sure.
I don't have to do it right now, I can do it later if you want to take care of the business.
Probably be better. know, is that?
Are you gonna come back into drainage?
Are you gonna do it now for a while?
Yeah, I got some other things to look at.
All right.
Around,
We
yeah.
can do it later then.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Dan.
You got anything?
Do you have anything for us?
Did we figure out anything on the high school blacktop?
We got a motion to go out of drainage.
I see there's some,
Second by Carl.
oh, who, yeah.
Dave
Who?
Carl.
Dave Carl.
Dave Carl.
All in favor of going out of drainage?
Aye.
We're out of drainage. Back in
We have
regular
a
session.
brief intermission.
Break?
I see there's
Okay.
more.
Very brief intermission.
Yep, take a break.
Big
Break.
Get your popcorn and stuff.
Right,
I'm assuming-
right, you gotta have intermission for these things, it's like a long movie.
Like a,
All righty. Got everybody back?
You ready?
Yep. Take care for a short break.
Yep, not a problem at all.
Okay. We lost the dang agenda here. There's all this stuff. Okay. Next up, we have authorized chairman to sign letter of intent with D.A. Davidson and Company for the LEC equipment replacement project.
I had Rick sign this previously, it was after the first meeting that you guys had met. He wouldn't take a look to see if we could get a better deal on bonding or stay with the lease or whatever until he had some letter of intent that we wanted him to do that. So this is officially giving Rick
I move we
authorization to do that.
authorize the chairman to sign the intent, letter of intent with D.A. Davidson for the replacement of the LEC equipment.
Okay, a first from Carl, a second from Dave. Any more discussion on this? We've had several meetings.
Mhm.
All in favor?
aye.
Motion carries. Approve resolution 2017-12 to affix a date for a public hearing on the proposal to enter into a general obligation emergency communication equipment lease agreement with, I believe it's Motorola. Lease payments thereafter, and they're under the principal amount not to exceed $950,000.
And I talked to, John Danos with, Dorsey and Whitney, he's putting it together for us. And just made sure, I said the $950 was not the quote we had, it could be considerably less than that, based on what the insurance comes in and how much equipment is damaged. And he said, that's okay, we wanna make it the most it can be, so that you don't have to go ahead and have another public hearing and do everything all over again. So he said, not to exceed means it will not go higher than that. And so I picked out November 6th at 8:35 as the date and time.
So that's what I need the motion.
Make a
to
motion
state
to-
the date and time.
To approve resolution 2017-12 for November 6th at 8:35, is that what you said?
Mhm.
For the public hearing?
Okay, have a first for,
Second.
second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Hopefully,
Like
lots
call
less
this
than
Bring your
that.
lunch that day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Girl, just go grab her real quick and tell her we're ready.
Okay. And this meets the 4-day requirement by next Monday.
Mhm. How they coming with the installation and stuff?
They haven't started, they won't start until we get this lease signed.
But we got the Band-Aids on.
They got it patched together the best they can.
Mhm.
I think things are working pretty much.
Few other things, Rick had me check with Renee on the 10-hour day agreement, so here's a copy for each one of you to look at, and we'll have to get back to her later.
Good morning, Linda.
Good morning.
You have, some reinstatement of homestead and military applications.
Yeah, you know, a few months ago, we brought you the cancellation.
Mhm.
And then I think Peggy sends out letters to all of them, and then they have a opportunity to respond to whether they're, really should have canceled or not. So these are the ones that responded. This one, is an over-the-road truck driver. All his mailings goes to another person, his sister. And so we canceled his homestead, and he says that it is occupied, so that he does live there.
Even though he doesn't get his mail there, he lives there.
I guess so, yep. This is another one that his address was changed to California, back in July. And we called City Hall, and the water's on, but everything's mailed to this address in California. And one vehicle is currently registered here, but added a forwarding address in February to this California address. Now, he says he lives here, and his address is back to a Humboldt address. So,
Okay.
and also military goes with this one too. You have to be a resident of Iowa to claim a military, and with the California address, you know, he didn't qualify.
Earlier, but now he's back with the
Now-
local address.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. This one was just a name change. This guy added his wife to the property, and when he added his wife to the property, he used his official name. He goes by Lee, but he put it as Leonard. So, we didn't know if that was one of the same or not, so we canceled it. And he says he's one of the same, and that's fine. And we're also gonna have him sign a new one, just because of the, but I do think he should probably have it reinstated anyway. This one, the husband and wife live in two different houses. She lives in Ankeny and he lives here, so they both sign a homestead. We saw that they had a homestead signed in Ankeny, so we canceled this one. I think it is that he lives here and she lives down there, then I guess they're entitled to two homesteads, so.
Oh, they are entitled to
I guess so.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, that's what I thought,
As long as
but
they follow the...
whatever. This one, these people moved, this is a house in Hardy, and they moved to Livermore. And, they claim their daughter lives there, in the one in Hardy. I think she's 16. And there's no water. So, I'm gonna let you decide what you wanna do with this one. I don't know why they just don't sign on the one in Livermore and be done with it. I don't know what to think about it.
If there's no water, they can't be living there.
They claim she is. So, I don't know.
You're a
Any
better
thoughts?
judge than this, than we are. You're a better judge than we are.
I wanna pass the buck to you.
The over-the-road trucker, he has to have it somewhere out of, for sure.
He what?
He has to have some bait.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I don't have a problem with that.
No, the only one I have a problem with is this last one.
Yeah.
And I know there hasn't been water in that house for quite a long time. 'Cause I
Oh,
heard-
you know the house, okay.
Yeah, I do. I've
I
heard
mean,
something about that a year ago.
I don't know how you could, and, you know, they can come in and sign on the one in Livermore. So,
Not like you're taking something away.
right, they're not losing it.
So my question is on this one that one lives here and one lives in Ankeny, if that's allowed, and they're still legally married?
As far as I know,
So could I have my wife move across town
yeah.
and have one on one side of town and one on the other? I mean, I don't know.
Yep,
That-
yes,
Sounds
yes,
like it.
yes, yeah.
I guess I didn't know how that worked.
I,
Not that
surprised
she's
that
moving
that-
out, I don't want that in paper, Ken. I'll be moving out.
You'll be the one moving.
Yeah, I'll be the one going. I just was curious.
I can't see how we can
And I
produce
think
last
she's
one.
only
I got a
15
couple
years old.
too.
I can't see how we can improve that last one.
You know, I urge them to come in and sign the one in Livermore.
Yeah.
That's, and this is for you, Peggy, your copy.
Okay.
And you're gonna get this done and ready to go.
Oh, you're
So-
in it? Yep, thank you.
The year end.
Yep.
Can we do a motion to approve all but one?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve all of them but the last one. If you ain't got water, you don't, it's not livable.
Second Dave's motion.
First and a second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Thanks, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Linda.
Yes.
Okay. Did anybody
You ready
notice
for
was
Paul?
this Paul out here?
Yep, he's
Okay.
you're ready.
I got a lot of stuff here.
I tell you that, Paul.
Couple one things went positive this weekend anyway. Now the expectations are to keep it rolling.
Okay. All righty, we have Paul Jacobson here, we're for review of county engineer. I think we got passed out the forms like we had previously, did we pass them out?
I gave them to you.
Yeah, and I stacked them in this pile of stuff here.
Mhm, they're all paper clipped together, so.
Here they are.
I was gonna say, once you find one, you
Okay.
should find all the rest.
When did we do this? Probably, April, May. I can't remember when the last time we did the review. But this is the same form we used last time. We'll fill them out individually, get them back to me. Bruce and I will go through them, tally them up, compare it to the last evaluation, and present it to the board and to Paul. Is there any comments from the board you wanna talk about?
My question is on this is going from the last
Yes, from the last
review to
till-
this
till today.
current time?
Yeah.
All right.
So this is considered a 6-month review then?
Yeah.
Or you check that box, 6-month review? Or is it a special or probationary review, I guess? I didn't read all that.
I think we did it as a 6-month
Six-month contract extension,
Okay,
so we'll call it a 6-month.
all right, got that one done.
Is there any comments, Paul, that you wanna make before we, I think we go through this portion first, and then go from there with comments from the board, unless they want to have any comments here today.
yeah. I don't have any.
Well, here's my
Okay.
best, I'm gonna tell you. We have, as a board, reviewed, in detail all policies and all ordinances, through, work sessions, vetted them publicly then, in board meetings, led to a few changes. I have provided and will continue to provide all the information that's been requested. Last time there was some hanging information that I reportedly had not submitted. I think we have everything submitted. Door is always open, we talk about communication, the door is always open at our office. I usually have my cell phone on unless I'm in bed. LEC knows to call my number at home if they don't reach the cell number. But point is, I'm always available and the staff is always available, to handle any questions, concerns, or if you want input. We're there to provide input, we're the secondary road systems. Last time, what was based on eliminating complaints, I can't do my job, and always answer, to the satisfaction of whoever's asking the questions. Because sometimes the answer is no, and sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes they want a no answer, and the answer is yes. But that's based on the policies and procedures,
and for the good of the county and not the good of the individual necessarily. We deal with the road system. Again, as I iterated, 6 months ago, whatever I say yes or no to someone, I gotta be able to say yes or no to another individual in another part of the county consistently, and treat everybody the same across the board. Beyond that, I think that I would like to consider a multi-year contract to add stability, continuity, consistency, and uniformity to not only me, but to the department staff. Instability leads to insecurity, which complicates staff retention. We have a good team that's worked well together, and it gets tough when the future is uncertain. So one way or another, either no or yes to a few years.
Okay. Something I want to point out to the board, Paul said he went through the policies, and Paul's answers to the public are based on policy. That is his job, he has to follow the policy. We set policies, he follows them. He doesn't work gray areas, we work gray areas. He has to say yes or no. He can't say, well, you can do this or that. He has to say no. So, just remember that in your reviews. That's about all I got. So let's try to have these filled out and back to me by next week. I prefer Friday. You can bring them up here to Peggy and put them in my desk here or whatever, and I'll stop in and pick them up. That's what we done last time. And then,
On the agenda next week then?
well, I think next week, Bruce
We
and I...
have to review them first.
Bruce and I will sit down after the meeting next week, unless you want to do it on Saturday or something, but I really don't want to. I know.
Open to whatever, I mean, it's...
Well...
The 10th will be
I
closed.
have a wedding next Saturday.
2 weeks is a holiday.
Yes,
We're closed on the 10th.
yes. You said have them back by next Friday. Next Friday would be the 10th. Not, this Friday would be the 3rd, next
Yeah,
Friday.
We can still get into
Oh, this
that.
Friday is what I meant, this Friday.
This Friday,
Yeah.
the 3rd?
We can still put him in his desk, though. even
Yeah.
though-
Yeah. Is that enough time? I mean, just a few days
Should
ago,
be,
it
right.
should be.
Okay.
And then possibly talk about the 13th, right? Is that the plan?
Yeah. That'd be good.
The 13th?
13th. That way Bruce and I can get them gone through, and, we'll look at it then.
I'll be gone the 13th.
Are you going to be on the 13th?
I have a structural engineers
We
conference.
shouldn't do it then.
Okay, we can do it soon.
I don't care if you do it then, Carl. I want it done. I don't care if you do it next week, I don't care if you do it tomorrow.
Well, I think it all has to be for your consideration and for also for ours, so that it just has to get put together in the next couple of weeks, and we'll make it work for everybody.
Is the 20th too late to do it, Paul?
It's getting back further and further.
Maybe we have a special meeting sometime.
Yeah, we could do that.
You will have to, canvass election results for Thor on, well, I can't do it on Fridays, it'd have to be Thursday,
Thursday, what?
the 9th,
The 9th?
because of the fact that Thor has runoff provisions, so
Oh.
we could include it with that meeting if you would like.
That's on, for sure, Kansas election results Thursday the 9th,
Just for Thor,
just for Thor.
yeah. Everybody else has chapter 45 or 46, which, or 44 or 45, which means that they can be canvassed the Monday after. But when you have a runoff election, the timelines are so short, you have to do it either the Thursday or the Friday before. And since we're closed on Friday, then we could schedule it for, if you give me a time, I could get the, we're supposed to wait until after the mail comes in case there's any special absentees for that city, but our mail's usually here by 11. If that's too late, we can go afternoon.
Well, that count could be huge coming out of Thor.
It's probably gonna be a 5-minute meeting, yeah.
So what time does your mail come?
Around 11, well after.
Yeah. Should we do it like 11:30?
That
Works
would
for
work.
me.
Okay, all right.
We're talking about canvassing the elections.
Yes, and then I could put
Then we
the
could
Then we'll do
put-
the
issue on
review,
there at the
then-
same time.
But we're gonna have lunch.
Pardon?
By lunch.
Yeah, why not?
Put that 11:45 or so. Won't take 10 minutes to do the canvas.
No,
Yeah.
I won't take ours.
Yeah.
You want to do 11:45 instead then?
No, for Paul's.
Oh, okay, like, 'cause the canvas is only gonna take 5 minutes.
Let's
Yeah,
do
put you at 11:30 for canvas.
11:35.
In case you have a big run, lots of envelopes to open.
Okay. Oh, you dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, Gary's gonna be over there pushing for the vote.
11:30 on Thursday
Okay.
night.
You are.
Got it.
11:45 in the beginning.
Yeah, you will.
Makes it easy for you.
And we'll put these in your
You
drawer
might have to work one of these days.
before Friday. or on
Yes,
Friday.
I'd like to have them before Friday, then me and Bruce,
Yeah, yeah.
because this weekend I got a wedding, and then maybe after that, or Monday or
Okay.
Tuesday, we can get together.
Sounds good, we'll do that.
Or sometime, maybe after the meeting next week, we can stay a little late and go through them. So, even if you got them to me by Monday, I guess it'd be fine. Monday. Okay. Where are we at here?
Anything else,
Okay.
Paul? Anything?
All right, now we're gonna move down, we're gonna move down to review of secondary roads. I added this to the agenda. I wanted to run it by Paul. I mentioned to him the other day on the phone a little bit, so he's had a few days to think about this. A lot of counties have what they call a road superintendent. A road superintendent basically runs the road crews and figures out maintenance schedules, vehicle replacement schedules, and the engineering staff does the engineering and the financing of it, and the budget. Is that correct, Paul?
Pretty much, the super would be, underneath the county engineer, and it would be the between man, between me and the shop foreman. Then, right now, we work directly with the shop foreman, and the superintendent in these counties plans, organizes, and controls all maintenance activities, or coordinates the controls, reports to the county engineer. Engineering staff still provide support. In other words, those gray areas or the spots that are in one of your former supervisors' words, no-brainers, he handles, he or she, the superintendent would handle all of those. When it comes to the gray areas, right-of-ways, things, which way water should go, the engineering staff would still provide support. With that would come an office, probably truck, computer, tablet, et cetera, for this position. And one of the things that it would do, he or she would determine winter staffing, equipment, and timing. Specifically on some of these other contracts that I looked at on Friday afternoon, the super determines who and how many and what time on any snow removal per ordinance. And that would be one person out instead of what we have now with 3 shops and 3 foremen making the call. With the system we have now, that's been in place a number of decades, we were at 4 foremen in 4 districts. Now with a reduction from 8 shops to 3, we're at 3 shop foremen, 3 districts, and all 3 of them communicate on the iffy days as to what's going on. Clearly, to make the call on a snow day that it's snowing everywhere, it's all hands on deck. That, to get uniformity and to get everybody out on a day like that doesn't take a lot of rocket science. But on the days that are debatable, we have 3 guys trying to talk to each other to determine what to do. With a super, it would be 1 guy calling whomever. It might be just the southwest corner of the county, for instance, that would go out. Some counties have had, Webster County had super probably 10 years ago, or they were working out of districts before, and they went back to 2 districts. The super would, in a lot of ways, could, we have one guy to communicate to me as to priorities and things instead of three. Otherwise, the super, the complications with it is they can be paid a salary, or they can be paid a salary plus overtime. You see them all over the chart. And when they're, you know, they're not gonna be cheap. They're gonna be at or above, you know, another 10 or 20,000 more than what our regular staff is. Right now, we have, the foremen that are at, roughly 50,000 a year. The maintenance, just the maintenance staff at about 46.5, and the average of the supers last year for the three in our area was 61,000. A couple of them had with overtime, and one had a straight salary. So I don't know that it's fixed the budget an issue, but again, this is from Friday afternoon or Thursday to now. As to my thoughts, I wouldn't be in a position to recommend anything, but as I talked to our chairman, this is a good issue that we deal with every time when we have a foreman retire. We've talked about it the last time. I think it was discussed as when we replaced foreman, and it should be something that's discussed in the budget hearings or in the budget work sessions. Staffing needs, equipment needs, things like that all show up so that you can account for the dollars and cents and look for direction. I mean, our plans and our job in the engineering department is not to look at today or tomorrow, but most of the time we're trying to look years down the road. And what we have right now is a contract with our maintenance staff, a union contract that goes, I believe, another 3 or 4 years. So some of it, our hands are tied, but we could always consider a super above and beyond. But some of the existing, there's not much we can do with it unless both sides agree. But what else? You got anything?
Not really. The only thing I wanted, this is something he answered this question a little while when I talked to you on the phone. A super cannot jump in a snowplow and run. He could run a snowplow down.
You'll have an argument on that, but they do and can. I mean, some supers, they don't have any scheduled route, but they'll be filled in. Or in...
Like when you have snow events and whatever.
When you have something where it really hits the fan in troubled areas, the super can jump in. A super, in some cases where you don't have a designated mechanic, which we don't, they end up doing the trouble. Somebody's in trouble, the super takes care of that. Instead of stopping somebody else on a route, the super fills. You may have even something as simple as a fuel tank in the truck that he goes to get fuel to somebody distant. But whenever you have trouble, then you have one more man, and then you have a filler if you need it. I wouldn't plan on using the super as a full-time route, but...
No, of course not.
'Cause then, yeah, there is pros and cons both way here, and some, like I said, Webster went to one and went away from it. Cassuth has more or less 2 supers or 2 districts, whatever way you wanna look at it. Wright's got a superintendent, they have sign foreman, they have chief mechanic, I mean, right down the board, they have several of these, so... There's a lot of ways to skin the cat, and that's all in planning and budgeting and with retirement. With what we're locked in, retirements would come into play on this too, if we were looking not to add somebody. If we were looking at to add anybody on top of what we had, you can do it any time. Otherwise, if we were looking at it as potentially holding the same staff and changing titles, then it would fall under retirement.
Okay.
My question is the super, would they be hired by the engineer, or would they be hired through the supervisor?
Well, I imagine it's being secondary roads, you have to bring us candidates.
Right. No, I would bring a recommendation to the board just like any other.
Okay, so then, I mean, depending on how it's set up, we don't need another pickup driving around observing. I mean, I think the superintendent putting stuff together as far as lining up the work is all good and fine. I just don't think we need another pickup, somebody driving around seeing that we're spreading rocks, somebody driving around seeing that we're mowing a ditch. I guess that's what I'm more worried about.
Okay.
And I'm not making an accusation, I'm just making, we don't need more observer.
I was thinking more a superintendent job is for taking care of the day-to-day needs and overseeing the foremans.
That's
But
what
I
I'm
know what
thinking.
you're saying here.
But I'm just saying,
I know what you're
we don't need
saying.
another
Well, we would be
pickup truck.
taking current with the super, the shop foremans are still gonna be there. We have them in a union contract. The super would take over some of their activities. The super would directly assign what staff can do. He could go right down to say, and assign the staff, where the shop foreman would still make sure everybody shows up at the shop in time and whatever, but the super would not only coordinate today's activities, but he'd be out, trying to anticipate where the needs would be in the future to keep everything going, and that's what we try to do with three foremen right now, and our mechanism mainly is foreman meetings and communication through me as to who gets what and when. I mean, the coordination would be some of what we do out of the engineer's office, and some of what the current foremen are doing would be by the job superintendent. And then the priorities would be established between the super and myself, or the county engineer. Just the super reports to the county engineer.
Superintendent's more skills would be in time management, you know, more hands-on experience in how many people you need to do this kind of work, how the work should be done, things like that.
So then,
Make sure things are done the way they should be done.
so then this is my question I'll lob out here. If you put a superintendent on to coordinate and help run, then we got two engineers and an associate or an assistant, or, I mean, are you still...
Well, we answered that, some of that question was considered last year in work sessions for budget. In the years prior, anticipating the construction schedules we got, we probably could and should be looking at the fourth one in the office. Not just three, the fourth, and potentially instead of the fourth, you consider a super to relieve some of the duties off of a Dave Powell or the rest of us, to be able to continue to carry that out. We're fortunate at this time with the three engineers in the office that we have guys that will work with us. We've got hours out there where we bought Dave Powell out and Ben Loads out of the hours. We're fortunate to do that, or we wouldn't see them in July and August if they wanted to use the time they had coming, because they build her up. A paving project, any of these projects builds up a lot of times, and,
Because they have to be on site from basically sun up to sundown, because that's how long them guys work.
Well, some of that stuff where our hands are tied and the public isn't aware
Yeah, I
that
know.
we have to have an engineer over there while they're making
Yeah.
the blacktop, or they're doing
Paving
things
or-
that they're doing. So, you know, and I know it causes a lot of disgruntled people thinking, how in the hell do you do that? Well, it's basically mandated.
Mhm.
We don't have any choice.
No.
it's quality assurances, and it's all part of,
Well, for the simple fact that if someone's doing blacktop or C-49 is gonna be concrete, whitetop, we would all feel better that our man's standing there when they're pouring the concrete, into the container, knowing that we're getting concrete as opposed to something else.
and coming from the consulting field, the consultants can do that for you. But on the other hand, I have, faith in, Ben and Dave. They're here today and here tomorrow, and I have complete faith in them that they're looking and acting in the best interest of Humboldt County, not into a not-to-exceed contract, or how many hours they're putting in, or are they billing the county more than they thought they were gonna for this project. We do what it takes to do the job to ensure we're getting the best bang for the buck, and that's the only way it can work. It can work the other way, but, I assure you that, these guys are in, there's no kickbacks. I mean, we'd probably take him and be easy. One guy told me I'm easily, whatever, but, no, we don't. It doesn't matter to us, we have to tell the contractor, call it what it is, good, bad, or ugly.
Okay, well, that's why I just put it out there for discussion, because I knew other counties do that. I wanted.
And that could be easily picked up again. Again, we're gonna have retirements hidden, whether we want them or not, and it would be something to consider in the budgeting process. Another, addressing the vehicles driving around, then we, at some point, you, look at the, monitoring system, if that's a huge concern. But again, I think, most of the engineering staff and the maintenance staff is working in the best interest of Humboldt County. Yep, we may have some days where but, as a rule.
Can you bring this to you?
Oh, yeah. When we're done with this.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on this issue of secondary roads? Okay.
What's the pros and cons, and I think I know the answer, of naming one of your foremen as a head man?
It
wouldn't work.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work, and the same reason that, one of our adjacent counties fell apart is because when Cousin Ed wasn't named, and then he worked backwards through, and it took a couple of years, but it all came falling apart. You would need an outside somebody, and then at some point, you'll go through, the first guy will be, just like, potentially the first one would be a terrible job, and the second one would be a better job, because this would be a great change from the way we handle business.
All right, well, done with that.
It wouldn't be, we wouldn't consider them, but it would take the right person, because if, you gotta be able to work with the others, and if somebody felt slighted, it would be a problem.
What about you say?
And how's Wendy Winterstein gonna do, for instance, in-house?
Okay, one other thing we got for you, Paul, Gary Fisher today brought in, this here, an application to work in the right-of-way. He wants to get the road ditch on Washington cleaned out to where the water will run through that intake, I think that you see in the picture there.
So it's like 165 feet additional, what?
I think he has a copy, yeah, that was mine, but I don't need this one.
I'll review it.
Okay.
And if some of the water for the south, several hundred feet is supposed to go south, the rest of it's not supposed to.
So we'll go back north to another intake?
It's in a prairie pothole, and it never came this way. As a matter of fact, it's in the other district, I believe the intakes are, that feed east, so it's in the branch and not the main.
So is this the correct application? Gary asked that, if this was the correct application for him to give it to you or form?
I don't know, I'll review it.
Don't be right piece of paper though.
Okay. Get back to us on that then.
Correct form, make sure he gets the correct form.
If there's omissions to this, I'll deal with, Mr. Nelson.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you, Paul. I think we're down to committee reports.
What was it, Tuesday, we met at the LEC at 9 for the communication of the radios. I was there for that. On Thursday, we had our CFR meeting, which I have a copy of our audit, which goes to Humboldt. I also have a copy of the information, which kinda gives a snapshot, a review of all of the things that, goes on down there. And we'll leave this here, so you guys are able to look at it if you wanna look at it. The board is, wanting to set up a time, request, for the formal, proposal that they'd like Humboldt to make to them, or give them a chance to come up and give us a formal proposal at a board meeting. She's looking at 15 to 20 minutes for a time in the next, before we would set our budget. They can give the pros and good things about what CFR does for not only the area, but for Humboldt County and the numbers of people that have been treated. So I told them I would pass that on, and I guess if we can come up with a date, or she can call Peggy and see the next few weeks if, I know our schedule's filling up fast towards the end.
I might speak to that. I'd like to see us do it the 20th of November. I'd like to see what some of the other counties do. I know it's a very important thing, but we're a small duck in a pond, and I wanna see what the rest of them are doing. I think we ought to contribute, but I think we ought to contribute our share. If we wait till the 20th of November, we don't have a heavy agenda for then, maybe that would work.
Well, that, I also expressed those exact feelings that, on a per capita basis, the way that the numbers were, according to the numbers of people that use the facility, and, knock on wood, Humboldt County's a smaller county that has smaller numbers, but the simple fact that, on the radio the other day, they made the comment, for an addict, anyone that's needing, whether drugs, alcohol, the STARS program, the drug and alcohol alone, if you are looking for a bed, it's a 10-week wait. And pardon my French, but that's a hell of a thing to tell somebody that's seeking help. Come back in 10 weeks and we hope to have a bed for you.
You mentioned that before, that's a very good point.
I mean, it's a sick...
Might be too late.
Sick world out here, and I know we're not trying to fix we're just trying to make one, and that every kid that is in that predicament,
Too long.
it's gonna be more beds, it's gonna be a better facility, it's all gonna be under one roof, and I really hope and pray that I get to see it all working, because I think it has a lot of pluses. And I know we have a lot of things going on with the daycare and with the other stuff that we have, but I really believe that it's something that, will pay back huge dividends. So, that's my view.
And that meeting was in Fort Dodge?
Yes. No, actually Webster City. Sorry.
Okay, on Tuesday, I was also at the law enforcement center. I got there a little bit late, but in the discussion on replacement of radios. Also on Tuesday afternoon, we had a daycare meeting. Again, we talked about funding. It's not coming in like we thought it would, and we decided against going with an outside funder. We're gonna do it internally. We got one of our members is probably gonna hit the hair pretty hard. The other thing we've done, we've gone to corporations, we've gone to business people. I'm not sure that's all. We're gonna send personal letters out now. Hit every Tom, Dick, and Harry, rather than always going to the corporate, and we may get some more there. We got enough money to build a thing. We're just looking after that money that the city and the county and the hospital will get stuck with, you might say. I think there's some more potential there to satisfy those loans. And then on Wednesday, I went to Garner CCS meeting, and we talked about some things. Mason City's got a home up there, they have some beds. That's not in our domain, that's too far away, so we need CFR down at Fort Dodge. That's one of the discussions we had up there, and they also opened up some more beds up there. But they're full, just bang like that. Mental health's a big problem. And I don't know how we're gonna solve the problem, but also at that meeting, we have 22 counties. And Hancock County, Winnebago County, and Worth County had letters to consider withdrawing from the region. And we didn't vote on that. Hancock, Winnebago, and Worth.
They said Cassuth in the messenger too, was that,
They talked about it.
Oh, okay.
But all of them withdrew their letter then, afterwards. We can discuss it later. But yeah, Cassuth was right in there talking, they didn't have a letter in there. And the big problem seems to be communications. Everybody thinks they're not getting the services, get the communication they got when you had your own local office. Little self-preservation there, but when the legislature passed that rule, that law, supposedly you got an equal treatment for everybody statewide. And one of the big problems is some counties had carryover money, some didn't. And they're very protective of their carryover money. They didn't want to throw it in the pot. Well, to me, that's selfish, because the money's there. If we need it, we can get it. If we don't need it, maybe somebody else uses it. That's what's blowing it apart, I think. Some people had a $500,000 carryover and they didn't want to throw it in the pot. But if they need $2 million, it's there to help. So that's part of the problem. That continuation, that discussion will go on. The other thing we've done, instead of having monthly meetings, we've divided into quads now. They have 4 regions: East Quad, South Region, West, and North. We're gonna meet every other month in the region, and then every other month, twice a month in the quad, and try to get that communication going. The next meeting we have will be in November 6th in Fort Dodge with this little group down here, so they're trying to work through the, it's Big Brother, and all the little brothers are afraid they're gonna lose their power, I think. There's pros and cons of growing, but that's what happened up there. And then I came back that night, and we had another meeting on Wednesday, hazmat mitigation. You know, we as a board said we didn't have to do anything. We had to meet, and all the cities are going through it, and the counties and so forth. I still don't think we have to do anything differently, but Midas has given us a whole bunch of paperwork to walk through, and we have another meeting coming up sometime in November, but I don't think I need more input for that at this point. That was it, 4 meetings.
Okay, on Tuesday, I was down at the EOC meeting, down at the LEC, or down at the LEC, it's that radio stuff. Wednesday, I talked with Mary Hanson on the animal control, and Friday the 27th, I went with Dean, and we went and looked at a couple of buildings and this site out here and discussed things a little bit. That's all I had.
On Monday, the 23rd, had a building families meeting in Clarion, went to that. And then on Tuesday, the 24th, the discussion on the radio equipment at the LEC.
Okay, I just had the LEC meeting on Tuesday. That's the only official meeting. I was out and checked on the cleanouts over there on 347. Had some questions, you know, on 347, because he pulled out, but now he's back in there now again, cleaning, and three out there, I see they've got all the dirt work done, they're putting in pipes, correcting pipes, and it's pretty good out there, so that's all I had.
The other thing I was gonna bring up was, I talked to Rick Rasmussen at our, meeting at, Eagle Grove the other day, and after this new facility is built up here by the high school, I seriously think Humboldt needs to look into getting some type of wellness program going for our, county employees. He said that the amount of money that, they save on insurance alone, it's well worth pursuing. And when the family that donated the money for that facility, in order to use that, I think it'd be a huge asset for us to get something going, and, 'cause we need to try to get every break we can on our insurance, so.
We go to
hopefully
that
they'll-
annual meeting, you guys went this last year, we go to that insurance meeting down in Des Moines, they have programs for it.
Yep.
A lot of
Yeah, they
counties,
do.
a lot of cities are participating, we just never have done that.
You never do
It's
anything
a
on
good way
that.
to get a foot in the door.
I think so, I think that's one thing that we gotta push for.
I agree.
Okay, is there anything else for us, Peggy?
Really? Really?
Great.
We're gonna talk about the doghouse, the kennel.
We might get a little, well, we got pretty good information today, we might get a tidbit back even by next week, but, I mean, that's something that's gonna have to be
Yeah.
addressed here sooner than later, and hopefully at a reasonable cost.
Yeah, the cost part is gonna be...
A reasonable cost.
Scary.
And who pays it? With cities, counties, or
Probably both.
cooperation?
Probably, you know, they're
Yeah,
gonna
it's
work
gonna
out
have to be a shared cost, because it's a shared product
Yeah.
problem.
both the animal control officer,
Yeah.
is shared, true,
Mhm.
so, But I just think like a lot of other things, and almost everything, expediency, but I think there's some options out there. I'm talking with Denise, when she was here, so good work from Dave and Dean, and checking into it.
I think Travis and Dean and Mary, and I'm gonna try to get in with them too, and we'll come up with some idea, some costs and stuff.
Good. Couple different
Perfect.
options maybe.
I think we're leaning real close to moving that garage down there.
I myself would like to see it out where
Sewer plant.
where the one is now.
Yeah, if they've got...
Does that meet, city property?
That's city property.
Okay, so it meets the, at least.
And then being the license would be under their
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, then the building would be on their property, and
Yeah.
it's a better location for barking dogs and,
Yep.
you know.
So that's good stuff though, I mean, at least it got brought up and there's some, hopefully potentially good options to fix it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Hopper was coming back.